Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat, in which we will discuss penalty on early withdrawals of savings. Well, here's how it works. When you deposit your money in a savings account, you are expected for some accounts to deposit your money for a fixed period of time. So let's assume you wanted to invest $5,000, $10,000, $100,000. The bank will give you a certain interest rate as long as you lock in that investment. Lock in means you cannot take it out. The funds to remain deposited for a period of time. If you take this money out before that period of time, whether that's 2 years, 5 years, what's going to happen is you'll have to pay a penalty. Results in a penalty. But here's what's going to happen. The tax law provides a specific treatment for these penalties. And what's the treatment? What's the treatment for these penalties? You can get a deduction for AGI. So how does it work? If we look at Schedule 1, Part 2, and we look at this line here, it says penalty on early withdrawals of savings. So let's assume you were charged $500 penalty. You will add up all your adjustments. Let's assume that's the only adjustment, $500. Then those adjustments are transferred to page 1, $500, and they are deducted for AGI. They are listed before AGI. They reduce your adjusted gross income, not from AGI, which is a good thing, because to get something from AGI, it has to be Schedule A deduction, and Schedule A may or may not be deductible depending on whether it's greater than the standard deduction or not. But deduction for AGI are, in quote, 100% deductible because they are for AGI. Let's dive a little bit more into this topic. It's very simple, straightforward. So let's dive a little bit deeper into this topic. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, forfeited-interest.com. You are here because you are serious about mastering taxation. Whether you are taking a tax course, studying for the CPA exam, or enrolled agent, tax feels overwhelming, not because it's impossible, but because it's dense, detailed, and often taught at a pace that doesn't match the way you learn. The rules can feel disconnected, and the logic isn't always explained clearly. At Farhat Lectures, we slow it down. We explain the why behind the rules, break concept into simple steps, and rebuild your understanding from the ground up without assuming any prior knowledge. When explanation matches your learning, everything changes. The confusion fades, the rules start to connect, and tax becomes manageable. If you are ready to understand tax with clarity and confidence, start your free trial at farhatlectures.com and let's build your tax foundation together. So, which savings account are we looking at? We're looking at certificates of deposit known as CD. Basically, you'll go to the bank and they would have something to the effect, if you deposit $10,000 for 2 years, we will give you 8%. However, you have to keep that money for 2 years. You cannot withdraw that money. Or time savings account, basically the same thing. It's a contract between you and the bank to lock your money. These accounts require the funds to be held for a stated term, whatever that term happens to be. Often interest based on the agreed holding period. Now the way it works, the longer you deposit your money, the higher is the interest rate, because you have to understand the risk here, or basic finance. And in basic finance, what you have to do, the longer you have to wait for your money to get back your money, the higher is your risk. And what comes with risk? Reward. So if you want to wait 2 years, they may give you 8%. If they want to entice you to lock your money for 5 years, they might have to give you 12%. If they want to entice you to lock your money for 10 years, they might have to offer you 15%. So the longer the time, the higher the interest rate to compensate you for the time risk that you are taking. Now, why financial institution want you to do that? Because they want to make sure they have a certain amount of money that you cannot take out. They need to operate, they need to plan, they need to invest. So the financial institution rely on the depositor's commitment to keep funds invested for the full term, because based on that commitment, they can make decisions about loans, about other factors, other operational factors, how they run their business. Now, how is the penalty applied? How does it work? Well, early withdrawal usually do not result in a separate cash fee. So you don't pay a fee if you take your money out. Here's what's going to happen. The penalty is imposed by reducing the amount of interest paid to the depositor. So let's assume at the end they have to pay you $1,000. Well, because you withdraw early, they will compute the fee and they will give you, for example, $700 and they keep $300. So you don't have to pay the $300. So the penalty is often measured as specified number of months of interest forfeited. So it's like basically it's a formula, and depending on how early did you take out your money. Now keep in mind, you don't have to compute this. Oftentimes, not oftentimes, you're going to see what's going to happen as a taxpayer or as a tax preparer. You would receive a 1099 INT from the bank, and you will see that amount. So the amount forfeited is determined by the account agreement. Again, it's between you and the bank. It's basically you went into a contract. You told them you're willing to keep your money. You took your money earlier. Therefore, they will charge you a penalty. How is it reported? The full amount of interest credited to your account is taxable and included in gross income. As far as the bank is concerned, the bank did not really give you your money. The bank kept that money but gave you a separate money. So when they give you the interest, they're giving you the interest for the full thing, then they will net it out. The interest forfeited due to early withdrawal is treated separately. So basically, they'll give you less than what you qualify for. What can you do? The tax law allows you the forfeited amount to be deducted as an adjustment for AGI, as I showed you at the beginning. So this deduction applies even if the taxpayer does not itemize deduction. Now, the best way is to take a look at this. Let's assume, back to the example, you would report interest of $1,000, and if you incur the penalty of $300, the penalty will be listed here. Now, when you prepare your 1040, you would report interest of $1,000. Then you would report this $300 on line 18 as an adjustment. So the net, so all in all, you will be taxed on $700. So simply put, that $300 penalty, you are able to reduce your taxable interest by that amount. So the penalty is reported on Schedule 1, Reduce AGI, does not require Schedule A, applies only to penalties on savings withdrawal. And when you are a tax preparer, those are not common, those penalties are not common, but always, always, always have a habit to look at the federal income tax withheld box, whether it's a 1099 INT or a 1099 DIV or any 1099 NEC. Look at the federal income tax withheld, because if there's any money withheld, you might have to submit this to the government as well, that form. So you don't want the taxpayer to leave, then call them or ask them, could you please get back? Usually you would make a copy of it, but let's assume you did not. You'd have to call them back to get a copy of that federal income tax withheld. Because when you claim a deduction, not a deduction, when you claim that the government took money from you, you have to show them that. It's your job, and it's showing on the form. So the proper classification ensures the taxpayer is not taxed on the income that was forfeited, which is in our situation $300. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from farhatlectures.com. Maria holds a 2-year certificate of deposit and earns $800 of interest for the 2 year. She withdrew the funds early and forfeited $300 of interest as a penalty under the bank agreement. How is this reported on her federal income tax return? A. Include the $500 of interest in gross income and deduct $300. Include the $800 of interest on gross income and deduct the $300 as an adjustment to income. First, let's look at A. Include $500 of interest and deduct $300. If you do that, then the taxpayer is only taxed on $200. The taxpayer would love to do that, but that's not how you treat this. Include $800, which is earns $800, true. Then deduct $300. Therefore, the net, all in all, is $500. You earned $800 minus $300, which is $500. B looks definitely better than A. Include the $500 of interest and deduct $300. No.
You earned 800. Include 800 of interest with no deduction? No, deduction is allowed for the 300. Therefore, the answer is B. Now, if you are using Farhat lectures, you could always ask the AI to explain the topic. I'll give you a summary real quick. Also explain the correct and incorrect answer, and if you want to practice this topic again, just ask the AI to create another MCQ for you. What should you do now? Whether you are an accounting student, CPA exam candidate, enrolled agent, the best investment you should make is go to Farhat lectures, look at additional resources, video MCQs, Farhat AI assistant, podcast lessons, and obviously we provide you support by Farhat and the team. Invest in yourself. That's the best investment you can make, and God bless.